Five, four, three, two, one, let's go. Let's go, lose control, slip and slide on the dance floor. Let's go, lose control, slip and slide on the dance floor. Let's go, lose control, slip and slide on the dance floor. Dance floor, 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 dance floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Let's go, lose control, slip and slide on the dance floor. Let's go, lose control, slip and slide on the dance floor. Let's go, lose control, slip and slide on the dance floor. Dance floor, 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 dance floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Let's go. She right behind me. My diamonds oh so shiny. Even sometimes they blind me. My repertoire's big. Nothing I do is tiny. They wanna be me when they see me, cause that's just a rude awakening. Try me or deny me, and I am the dude who will take it there. I got money trees and in this season, watch I take them in. You just junior flexing, man, that's cute, somebody break them in. Flexing with my dogs, flexing with my bras. I'm flexible when flexing, cause I flex like it's my job. You can't see me like Mirage. Just because. How you gon' pull up in boutiques when your car's in a garage? Never that.
The world's best gather here. XBL baseball starts now.
It's crushed to the moon, and we're tied.
He picks it up on the second, over to first in time for the double play that ends the inning.
That's gone.
Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Trying to repeat.
It's gone!
To the pen! This game is over!
Oh! Crushed! Left field! Off the pole!
Domingo Bell, deep right center field, carrying, and it's gone!
That was hit hard.
deep left field. Is this baby gone? A grand slam!
Champion! The AAA World Series is over! What a line shot!
I can't believe my eyes.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another production of the Cross-Platform Baseball League. It looks like I'm hiding here for a moment. Let me fix up my camera.
The void.
Sorry about that. We were hiding in the void there for a second. But yeah, welcome back. We've got our second weekly roundup of the season here on deck for you all. This one is going to cover weeks 2 and 3 up to 4 here, essentially. We've had a ton of games played under belt in the AA, the AAA, and the XBL. All 3 leagues have been extremely busy, not devoid of drama, not devoid of excitement. And to go over that with me here tonight are the usual suspects, my booth mates, 2 of the best in the business. First and foremost, we've got the AAA aficionado himself, Mystery Man. How you doing tonight, Mist? You ready to go over some good stuff?
I got my Modelo. I got my margarita. I've been excited all day for this. It's been such a nice season. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, these roundups bring the best out of us here, as we say, when we talk about getting into them and getting to do them all week long. So it's definitely exciting when we get together and do this. And with us as well tonight, God's Unicorn jumped into the fold, into the broadcast booth last season, and now you're a mainstay here with us. You love doing these roundups with us. We love having you. It's very exciting to get another one under our belt.
Yeah, good to be here as always. The roundups are definitely my favorite. I talk a lot of trash, but I love the roundups, giving everybody their props and how they do well. I'm really excited for the AAA tonight. There was a lot of movement on my rankings personally, so I think that's going to be the most exciting part of the show. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show, like you said. It's so exciting to think about how all these players get ranked out and then to reveal it all here tonight in front of us, all to digest it once and really take in. We've got the rankings. We've got some cool storylines to follow up with Wishbone here as the midseason's kind of developed. And we've also got those classic plays of the week for you towards the end of the show. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get ready now to jump into the AA. Give me just a moment here to get my screen sorted out, and we will be ready to go. And I'll send this to my colleagues over here. We're going to start out in the AA with the Rockers and Sponge Hog.
Yeah, not too much to say here. A little bit of a rough start, but has a great attitude. Still active in the general. So Sponge Hog, he's exactly where I used to be.
Yeah, always tough when you first join the league. It's good to see that he's still playing, so I hope he finishes out the season. He's going down in egos, so hopefully that'll help him get a couple more wins under his belt.
We'll see now as we move up now to ranks 10 and a tie at 11. We've got the Pelicans and Preston, the Falcons and Infinity AB, and Raging at 2 and his Beavers.
Yeah, I just saw today that Prestone's an old guy, almost getting up in there in missed years. Doing okay. Needs to push it a little bit, but really not that bad. Infinity, another active player that seems to have some talent, and even the Beavers. The Beavers were ranked way higher than this not long ago. It's kind of shocking to see them actually tied for 11th, but I guess you got to rank them somewhere.
Yeah, when you look at the Beavers, they're at the lower end of the ego, which sometimes can come into account when you're doing these rankings. And he's got that weak win percentage against the over 500 teams. So you got to hope that the ego drop for him. He's able to get some more wins against those tough teams. Infinity's someone I've got a lot of faith in, despite the 8-12 record. I think he's got the right mindset, and he's plenty active to improve. And then, like you said, Prestone over there said he's up there in your age, and you're showing yourself in the AAA. It doesn't really matter. You can play in this league no matter who you are. So Prestone, 7-10 is a solid record, and he's definitely someone that you can see move up. He's up 2 spots this week.
Yep.
Yeah, tons of capabilities still for these players. We'll love to see how their seasons continue to develop as they're still all respectively close to 500. We'll move up the board to some players who are even closer to that 500 mark. We've got Bo Dangle's taking a bit of a dip. He's in front of Sonko and SWAT, and then Malik Dragonboard and the Paladins.
Yeah, Dragonborn, some really good games this week. So again, I guess the record is under 500, so it is what it is. But Dragonborn could really make some noise. SWAT, it's all pitching for him. 5 and 8 is kind of shocking, but could get going. And I actually like the Cows game. I think it's just what you would expect, plate discipline. But regardless, can get to the ball. Not a bad pitcher by any means. So just getting his feet wet. I think, and again, I've been saying this in the general. This is one of the players that I think is a potential AAA player, possibly as early as next season. But we'll have to really grind for that.
Yeah, I think when you get into the top 10 range, because of the round robin format and the AA playoffs, you're starting to look at people that can definitely make a run in the playoffs despite their ranking. They're going to be in there and they're not going to be playing one of the top dogs instantly, so they might be able to get hot after winning the first series or two. And you got to look at the Paladins. They're giving up 7 per. That's obviously the main problem for him. So if he's able to use that rotation boost he's got on his team build and make it more of an advantage, he'll be fine because he scored 6 per. And then SWAT's got the best strength of schedule so far, so you got to take that into account. He's only played 13 games. We know Soundco is a really, really good pitcher, which in the AAA he had even lower runs allowed than he does right now, and I think that shows that the lower egos, it's harder to really lock down people just because it's easier to hit. So Soundco's going to have to figure out how to bat just a little bit better because it's not as easy to pitch to lower ego guys for sure. Then Bo Dangles is someone that we've slowly seen kind of drop in the standings, but I agree with you, Miss. He's definitely someone that is dangerous and someone you're not going to want to see in the round robin. He's got both sides of the game, and he's really disciplined. So when you start this group in the top 10, like I said, these are where you start getting your sleeper pick.
Yeah, a lot of really close runs allowed per 9, runs scored per 9 here in this group. Like you said, that number 1 strength of schedule for Sonko really stands out to me. Huge veteran player here, huge veteran presence in the AA. You got to wonder what that's going to pull later in the season. We'll move up the board to 4, 5, and 6. These are your heavy hitters here in the AA so far. Now we see some people kind of making their first appearance. It's MC Vibraphone and Comsci making a jump from 10 to 6. Above him, we've got Kawashi Blue and the Icebirds. And then we've got the Stampede in the top 4 in Spartacus.
Yeah, actually, quite a bit to say here. I'll say it quickly. Vibraphone, a very good player. Probably, actually, you usually think, well, you have to adjust when you're moving up. I think Vibraphone has had to adjust moving down. But regardless, 9 and 6 is not bad and has been winning lately. Icebird's kind of the same, has really been hot lately. I like the Birds. The Stampede had a blowout against the number 1 player in Johnny before getting spanked. But regardless, if you're able to blow out the top player, I mean that pretty much says it all right there. And 10 and 8 is and strength of schedule 2 right there.
Yeah, I think the 2 biggest surprises for the AA for me was, like I stated before, Soundco's runs allowed. But another thing that's really surprising is Vibraphone, the way he's scoring. He struggled in AAA to score, and it could have been due to the ego, but he's up there at 6.5. That's incredible, and he's a better pitcher than his 6.2 ERA is showing right now. And he's definitely put on the last couple weeks. He's kind of showed people who he is and why he was in the AAA and why he was able to collect wins there. So Vibraphone's someone that I think is going to finish in the top 5 by the end of this on the last roundup. Kawashi, really active in the Discord, someone you really want to see succeed. I know he was talking about having issues with his team build, realizing that that's part of the XBL, making a team and regretting some of your things. But he's 9 and 7 right now and 500 against 500 teams, so that's a really good place to start in your first AA season. And then the Stampede, like you said, he had that crazy 9th inning comeback. I don't remember who it was, and I guess I don't want to call him out anyways, but you know who you are. He had a 9-run 9th inning to win that game. So that's pretty wild, and that shows that he can bat really, really well, and he can get hot, and apparently you can't stop him for an inning. So Stampede's someone that can definitely scare you at the plate, and that's a good recipe to be strong in the lower egos because pitching is going to be more even across the board than batting, I think.
Yeah, really impressive group here. All these players could easily punch their way up even higher in the standings with their remaining series, and then when come round robin / playoff time, really interested to see the series matchups that these groups get here, because there's going to be some big surprises, some big dark horses that come out of that range there in the AA. We've got our top three now. We've got Johnny making his appearance again at number 1, followed by the Milwaukee Mercenaries and Silly Power Ranger and the Massholes and Shamaronium. All players in the same place they were last time. We visited them. Just really, really strong group.
Sham, really classy guy. I think for sure AAA next season. 11-7 is really good. Looking more toward not that far over 500, but probably as dangerous as anybody. Mercenaries just killing it. I mean, his win percentage is even better than the number 1. So kind of a sneaky Silly Power Ranger looking really, really good. And then, of course, Johnny, he had the meltdown against, can't even remember now, but has had such a fantastic season after really, really, really struggling in AAA. But, he was the guy that we all said he played all his games. He didn't get down. He just kept grinding. And we all said, sure enough, it's going to pay off, and it's paying off. He may not win it all, but he's having a really good season.
Yeah. When you're in the top 3 and you hold that spot in the top 3 for multiple weeks, it's going to be. We've got 2 or 3 weeks now that these people were playing games, and the rest of the league was, and these guys are still top 3. So that's pretty impressive right there. When you look at Sham, I think he's someone who's definitely going to have a better record. He's got a 3 strength of schedule right now, so he's played some of the tougher teams. And I think Sham he's able to play against a lot of people despite their styles, just because of the way that he's a solid pitcher, and then he can put up 8 runs a game on you. So I think Sham's definitely someone that is going to remain in the top 3 for the rest of the year. And then the Mercenaries, what stands out to me mostly on them, there's 2 things specifically. He's got the fence swingers and power build, but when you go down, you would think, that might weaken you defensively and pitching wise, but he's got the lowest runs allowed in AA by quite a margin. I don't think anyone else is under 4, and he's down there at 2.4 while still putting up 7 runs a game. So the Mercenaries, I'm not very familiar with their game, but they, stat-wise, to me, look like the most dangerous team in the league because of that runs allowed and the fact he's still able to score. Other than Johnny, like you said, like we always say, he played that whole season and just got knocked around, and then showed that if you put in the time, you can really improve and get better, and he's done that. He's ranked number 1. He's been ranked number 1 for a minute now. I didn't play any games in week 3, but when you're putting up 11.5 runs scored, and that hasn't changed since the last rankings, you're going to be number 1. So big shout out to this top 3. It's impressive in any of the 3 leagues to hold your rank in the top 3 for multiple weeks.
Yeah, very, very impressive. The pitching numbers, especially that you highlighted from Silly Power Ranger, are standout, record-setting type pace. We'll have to look into some of those possible milestones as the weeks mature on here. And speaking of maturing on, AA brings you into that AAA territory, and we'll start off right here at the bottom. Unfortunately, Tezzy unable to play games this week due to just family emergency issues. We really hope Tezzy can just get back in the game and play and finish his season. We all love Tezzy.
You want to start, Uni?
Yeah, I'll start on the AAA. We can switch. Yeah, like you said, Tezzy let us know what was going on. Really, really hope everything's going well for him. Praying for him and his family and things like that. Hope to see him back. I know everyone in the community loves Tezzy. Yeah, you can't say a whole lot when it comes to the SMB because he hasn't been playing. But when he comes back, from what I've heard, he's not going to be ranked 19 at the end of the season. I've heard good things about him.
Yeah, rough start for Tezzy. Got some things going on with the family, but a really good player, and I hope he can play his games. That's the main thing, and I think he can. He obviously showed the willingness just by touching base. So let's all hope and pray for Tezzy.
Move up now to the active players at 16, 16, and 18. We've got Sea Wolves and Corn Sensual, followed by Icy Hot and the Puffer Dog, and the River Pirates and Albrat. Albrat having a rough start to his sophomore season.
Yeah, Albrat. It's obvious the 1 run scored is that's going to be a problem. That's going to make it really difficult to win any game, and but he's still a really good pitcher with a 2.5 runs allowed, and he's got an 86 left on base percentage, which is absolutely absurd. That's got to be up there record wise for AAA. That's some pretty crazy pitching numbers. So Albrat, if he can figure out how to bat a little better, he's going to be fine because his pitching is XBL level. And then Puffer Dog, I don't know a whole lot about his game, but he's obviously able to bat decently. He's averaging 5.6. Runs allowed is the issue with 8 a game. So Puffer Dog's got to learn how to maneuver through the AAA, kind of learn how to hit corners and how to pitch to some of these guys that are really, really good players, some of the best players in the world. And that's something that you're going to have to adjust to when you come into a league like this. So Puffer Dog at 4-9 has plenty of games left to go and plenty of room to learn and grow and get better. I think Corn Sensual at 7-14 is really still a shocker to me that he's at 7-14 after playing with him in the SMNL. He's a strong pitcher, and when he gets on the bat, he's really a better batter than his runs scored shows. And his pitching, like I said, it's pretty locked down. So when you look at the Seawolves, I think it's about putting it together and remaining consistent because he can be a top half player, no doubt.
Yeah, I think for Albrat, the strength of schedule is something that he can maybe lean on, but like you said, 1.11 is just not going to do it here. But a really wonderful pitcher. Has a win against me, and I'm probably in the top 5. I know almost nothing about Puffer Dog, so the only thing I can say is that runs allowed is going to have to come down. Does have a high strength of schedule, so maybe he played Snow and Billy and I don't know who, but Eddie. But yeah, that's got to at least come down to 5 minimum. Seawolves I really like. I think it's more potential right now than actually cashing in on the offensive side. So 4.76 is not that bad in AAA. He's a good pitcher though. I could see him getting that down to even 3.5. And the run scored is where he's going to need to grind because it's just his eye. Just need to get that a little tighter.
Yeah, this group has a lot of improving to do, but there's no saying they can't do it. They're close game players. Really, all 3 of them. Even Puffer Dog, with the amount of runs he scores and the amount of runs he gives up, the games end up pretty tight. So we'll see how they mature as the season goes on. We'll look up at the rest of the rankings here. To 13, 14, and 15, you've got Shortstep and the Dingers. They've been inactive, I believe, for the week. Just looking to get back into things. We know he's a prolific run scorer, but has had some of those back and forth games. Followed up by Diesel and the Wise Guys, and then Rise and Fall of the Piranhas. 2 players that I'll note here tonight are in their 9th XBL season. 10 seasons played in the XBL in any league gets you into the Hall of Fame. So we're talking about a couple potential long-term players, Hall of Famers, real good guys.
Yeah, Hall of Fame is extremely impressive no matter how you make it. The dedication for 10 seasons is pretty wild. And Rise and Fall gave us that epic moment on Match of the Week, a true gem on that home run shot that he had against Burning Ice, and really shocked me when I was watching. So Rise and Fall scoring 3 per. He didn't show it in that Match of the Week. I think he won like 1-0, but he's able to play close games like a lot of these guys towards the bottom end. They're able to play close games, and that means they can split anybody. So it's someone that's hard to gauge where they're going to move because of how many close games and because of the way those can obviously go either way. And then the Wise Guys, I feel like they've been playing better lately, looking at their box scores and just looking at some of his stats changing. His runs allowed at 5 is a little surprising because he's a solid pitcher, but he does have a 7 strength of schedule, so that might be a factor there. And then his runs scored what I've noticed is it's been going up the last couple weeks, and that might be a product of him switching over to PC. So I hope to see the Wise guys go up. He made the playoffs last year. I think he can make it again this year. Definitely someone that I would expect to see there. Then short steps, yeah, didn't play any games in week 3. Definitely a really good batter. His runs allowed is fine. 5.5 isn't going to win you the league, most likely. You're going to have to get that down a little bit, but 6 runs scored for you can get you up there into a championship type of level. So short steps as a rookie, he's like all other rookies, kind of learning how to maneuver through these really tough players and how to pitch to them.
Rise and Wise guys, both players that probably sneak into the playoffs at the bottom end. And they're players that, their World Series is going to be taking out that first rounder. So you don't want to play either one of them. Short steps kind of scares me. I mean, this is actually a really good record and a really good run differential for a newbie, a rookie to the AAA. And I think he had a rough start and now is kind of approaching 500. So I could see the Dingers. I don't know what to say. I mean, I think they're a wild card.
Yeah, a lot of wild cards here in the way that, the two of the players, Wise guys and Rise and Fall, they are some giant killers. And the Dingers, you really just don't know what he's going to bring you, but there's some XBL level maturity in that bat, as Unicorn did state. We'll move up the board now to 10, 11, and 12. We've got Rickson the Cereza has been inactive for a bit, got 12 games in early. Followed up by Spliff Star, who's played 32 games thus far, but not yet to be outdone. He's got it's Burning Ice at 36 games played. I think he's done. Is he finished?
Yeah. It's funny for these two to be right next to each other in the standings because of how much we loop them in together and how similar their play styles are. Their stats actually have separated a little bit compared to normal. Normally their runs allowed and runs scored are pretty even with each other, but these guys are really similar players. We say it all the time, both really good pitchers and can be streaky at the plate, but I think Spliff more than Ice has seemed to find his way at the plate more this season. If he gets his runs allowed down back to normal, like Von Asen levels like he normally has, Spliff is going to be fine, and he's going to be really dangerous in the playoffs. Then Ricks stays at 10. He didn't play any games. It's kind of hard to move him around, but anyone that was here for last season has to respect Ricks and realize, like, once he comes on late, he's going to come on strong, and he's going to be shooting up the standings. So Ricks is someone that I think I had him higher than 10 even, just out of respect for last season's run.
These are the pitchers. I mean, the numbers don't really say it, but the Gex, I think it's with the. I'll just straight up call it out. If it's against the Gex, it's can you hit the curveball? If it's against Spliff Star, you're just looking at a 50-50 proposition just because the pitching can hurt you that badly. And then Las Cerezas, I would ignore that record altogether. If Ricks puts it together, I would expect him to be in the conversation for the AAA championship.
Yeah, all of these players, like you said, are the pitchers. They all have the pedigree to win a Von Asen under their belt. Some of them have in the past in various leagues or this one. But, just a really interesting group here. Funny to see them all together at 10, 11, and 12. Move on up now to 7, 8, and 9. There's Heisman and his stars. He's at 500. He's followed up by Finite, who's just jumped off the starting block, and he is coming on pretty strong. And then he's followed up by Fun Size, WC24, and Drake Baseball Club, who's been a bit inactive lately. Have not heard from him as of late.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him. I hope he shows up. One side is the competitive guy and definitely someone that can be a top 5 level player in the AAA. He showed that last year in his rookie season. So year 2's only going to be, you would expect better from him by the end of the season. So hopefully he comes around and plays his game. 7 games through like 3 or 4 weeks is a little bit sketchy. Hopefully he comes back around. I know he had Wi-Fi issues, but yeah, Finite finally started playing some games and started off just fine. He beat the Sirloins and he beat Wise guys, and then he got that split that it shows right there with Split Star. If you have a 5-1 record against those three, that's really impressive because those are three of the stronger guys in the league, no matter what rank they are right now. So Finite's someone that's going to be plenty fine and has played plenty of seasons in the XBL. Heisman wants the XBL smoke from what I've heard. Out here at rank 7 with a 500 record, he's got an interesting play style, and he plays at an interesting ballpark. So he's someone that's tough to face and someone I think that's a contact swinger. But you're going to look for him to move up if he really wants that XBL smoke. You can't finish at 500. You're going to have to get that record up and then win some playoff games. And I think Heisman can. He's been here for a long time. He knows how to win in the AAA.
Yeah, Drake's a very good player. Let's hope he gets in here and gets his games in. The minors, I think, just a really passionate player. So if you look at the runs scored and the runs allowed, it doesn't really look that great considering his history. But I think if he really pours his heart into this, could challenge for top 5. If he doesn't, he's going to go nowhere. But definitely a talented player, and the numbers don't show that. But it's very early for him. It start out 4-1, and then Houston, a pitcher first guy. I don't think XBL is out of the question for him at all. I do think the hitting needs to improve. It's just not really XBL. We've been waiting for Heisman to move up into that, basically the finals of AAA for a couple seasons now, and it's a little shocking he hasn't. Does have the talent to be there. Sometimes it was console issues, but I think at this point everybody's facing adversity, so Houston just needs to really strap it up and really come at these people.
Yeah, all three of these players, when on their best day, can beat anybody in this AAA setup. So you'd hope to see, a big playoff run coming out of here, a real dark horse type candidate come playoff time. But we shall see. We've still got more to talk about those players that they'll be going up against up higher on this board. That's 4, 5, and 5 here. We've got a tie between two players. But first at 4, we've got Billy Banquo and the Mallards. And the tie belongs to the Help Deskers and Elron Coin and No Sweat on Jawas. No Sweat on vacation, but he will be back soon. And he's going to be ready to rock and roll, we've heard.
Yeah, like you said, he reached out, said he's about to start getting games in. So we're going to see a lot of movement from the Jawas, I think, here on the next roundup after he plays a few games. And we've said it plenty of times with him before. He's got the potential to jump all the way up to number 1, no doubt. He knows that. The league knows that. But he's got to be consistent, and he's got a lot of games to play. So he's got a lot of room to move up and down. But Noswad's someone I definitely trust to finish top 5. He's really good on both sides of the plate and comes from that family of insane players with Clutch and Natron, the school of Natron, I think they call it. Then Elron Coin, I definitely had him moved up in the standings. I think we all did. Really impressive week 3. You see him go 6-2, and his only 2 losses are against Mist, who we haven't seen yet. So Mist is a top 3 player, and that's no reason to bat an eye at the fact he got swept by Mist. Putting up 7 per is really, really strong, and then 4.8, I think his location can be hit or miss at times if he's able to locate better in this back half of the season. Help Deskers are someone that I think legitimately has a shot to win the AAA, like a lot of these top 5 guys. And then Billy, it's been the same thing the whole season for him, a really, really dangerous batter. Someone that can put up runs on anybody and make it really tough on you, but learning, like I've said about a few other guys, learning how to pitch in the AAA, learning how to pitch to people that are some of the top players in the world that can hit any balls. So if you can bat the way he does, which is XBL level, now just get your pitching to AAA level even, and you're going to make a case for yourself to be a semifinalist, a champion type of player.
Yeah. I still think the Jawas are probably top 1 talent-wise. Just need to get in here and play some games. That's really all it is. Help Deskers. this was a player we kind of were a little bit surprised didn't actually go into the XBL, but possibly a little bit of rust, and I think that's kind of shown through. But 11-7 is nothing to sneeze at, and the runs allowed, I think he can actually do better than that. And the runs scored, I think he can actually probably hold that. So, like you said, a dangerous player. And then Billy, for a rookie, he had a really hot start. So I think I think we almost crowned him the number one player early. But if you really look at it, 14-10 for a rookie looks fantastic. And he hasn't even learned the players. I mean, there's at least 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 games that he's given away on the mound that if he really had the knowledge, probably wouldn't do that.
All 4 of these players, or excuse me, 3 of these players, extremely dangerous. Like you said, they're all dark horses to win the league in their own right, and we hope to see some of them later in the season under that primetime stage to see what they really got. Because the players they're going up against up here at the top 3, they've been in it before, and we're gonna go take a look at them now. It is Snowbird and the Black Roses at number 1 once again, followed up by Mist, who's taken the jump up from rank number 5, and Ed, who's moved down from rank number 1 to rank 3. So interesting grouping here. 3 AAA veterans all the way.
Yeah, Sirloins have a similar trajectory to last season where he started off super hot, went on like a crazy win streak or went 10-1 or something like that, and has fallen off a little bit since. But I mean, Eduardo was in the semifinals last year and took Ricks to 7 games, and Eduardo's been in the league for so long that he's someone that's scary to play. And Mist Inc., I had him number 1, number 2. I mean, that's fine also. Being in the top 3 of the AAA is really impressive. On your best season that you've ever had, up here at number 2, I haven't been here long enough, but this might be the highest you've ever been ranked. It's your runs scored is what's really impressive, and the way that you've been batting lately is really XBL level batting, and that's something that we know Mist has in him, and it's more about consistency, and he knows that about his game. And Mist at number 2 is really good to see someone that puts that much work into the league with these broadcasts and things like that look like a real competitor and someone that can win the league. And then Snowbird at 18-6, and that's a really good record, a good record against plus 500 teams as well. You're putting up over 11 a game. You've got that dynasty level bat. That's something that's going to be impossible, or not impossible, really difficult for anyone to beat, no matter how many runs she gives up. If she can score 11 plus, not many people are going to be able to match that. There's only a few people in the league. So this is a really strong top 3, and it makes sense for him to be here. Snowbird, obviously the best batter right now. If she's able to get her ERA just slightly lower, I think she's going to run away with it.
Yeah. Eddie's going to be semifinals, I think, at worst case scenario. It does depend on, if he gets stuck with Billy or somebody early. I guess, Heisman could maybe take him out, but I think Sirloins are probably finals or at least semifinals in maybe a 5 or 6 game series. Myself, been hot lately, always streaky. The numbers look pretty good. And then Snowbird, just dominating with offense, and the pitching isn't, it's not great, but if you're scoring 11 runs a game, 6 runs is not that. I think I said last week that her record could almost be better than it was at the time, and 18-6 is quite a good record. So Snowbird looking really good.
Well, 3 of these players looking really good here at the top of the AAA. Just love to see some veterans here just making their names for themselves, staking their claim, and putting their best foot forward here at the top of what's a gauntlet of a league. One thing I just want to note myself, Snowbird, struck out 53 times, home run 55. That's insane. More times than she struck out. So
yeah, now let's look at the Mist.
Yeah, let's look at the missed. He's got about 3 times as many strikeouts as he does home runs. But still has 41. Still has 41. Very, very good stuff here, folks. Now we're going to take it over to the XBL. We're starting off here at the bottom with Teflon Don Lemon in the blue parts. He was inactive for a bit. Haven't seen a lot from Teflon Don, and he's had a really weak offense in the meantime. So just hope to see him kind of turn the corner and become one of those teams that, we know he can be a higher scoring XBL winner type club.
Yeah, I don't understand the offense. I think I hate to say this, but I think he needs to bear down. He's way too talented for that. Pitching side, I'm not sure. That might be reasonable, but nobody can convince me that he can't score at least 3 runs even at the XBL level.
Yeah, I agree. His pitching's actually fine, and he's a really interesting pitcher, the way he uses off-speed and weird locations that can hurt people that are kind of used to being in the XBL for a long time. But like you said, he can score more than 2 runs a game, I believe, for sure, after playing him. So that's just something he's going to have to get better at through practice with the higher ego. It's really that simple. You have to practice when you move up ego.
Move on up now to ranks 16, 17, and 18. It's me and Uni. Look at that. All hanging out together. Uni's over here at rank number 16. He's fallen down a little bit from rank 14. I'm holding Pat at number 17, followed up by Dynasty at rank 18, who honestly I disagree that he's at 18 and I'm at 17 because he swept me pretty hard the other day. I didn't have my best game under my feet, but his runs allowed per 9 is something that stands out here among the group, along with my runs scored per 9, both on either ends of the extreme spectrum, not in ways that you want them to be. And then Uni, you've had just like kind of what we would call a slow start, and I think you're going to get it under your feet a lot faster than even maybe you might think you will, especially if you get this newfound dot hitting thing under your belt.
Yeah, I think Dynasty is what we thought he was. Almost 3.75, almost 3 3/4, getting up there toward 4 runs a game in the XBL in his first season. I know a lot of players that would kill for those numbers on the offensive side moving up into XBL. The pitching has been questionable, but he ripped off a split against No Hummus just today, and Dwayne, you just talked about him sweeping you. So this is the numbers, the raw numbers. I wouldn't pay attention to. This is more about next year for the Tyrannics. Motor Sox pulled off 7 wins, better than last season. Have been kind of streaky. The offense has really not been there. The pitching has actually been pretty decent. So it's just a matter of pushing some runs across, I think. Too many caught stealings, things like that, hit and run that backfires or a bunt. But can probably hit a little better than he thinks he can at this level. Not that he hasn't been there before, but it's a little different ego. And the Unicorn is starting to get a tiny bit of momentum. Has been a little bit lazy on the mound, unfortunately. But if he can just shore that up, get that down to maybe 4.2 instead of 5.2. So I think Unicorn can put up, 3.8. For even by the end of this season, if he really digs in. But it's tough to do that when you're getting, you feel like you're getting your ass handed to you by some of these players that are, Mama and Lazy and Flash and those guys.
Yeah, when it comes to the Tyrannics and Dynasty, I think he's definitely on the come up. He seems like the last week or so, he's really found his bat again, not to the same levels of AAA, but he's been hitting really well. He's got over a 300 average, and I think I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that has jumped up pretty drastically in the last week or two, because even some of the games he's lost, he's actually put up a good amount of hits, just hasn't converted them. The Tyrannics, I mean, it's kind of what we thought. He's struggling on the mound, but his run scored is starting to come along, and that's kind of his game. He's able to bat really well, so hopefully we keep seeing that as he adjusts to the higher ego. The Tyrannics can be a really, really scary team if he can play anything similar to how he did in AAA. And then Dwayne split me in the extra innings, really tilted me the way he pitched. So I definitely have respect for the pitching that Dwayne has. And being able to win 7 games when only putting up 1.5 on runs scored speaks to the pitching, because it's hard to even win 1 or 2 games in the XBL when you're not putting up 2 runs. So to win 7 is actually more impressive than it looks when you look at the record, I think. And it just shows that he's got the XBL pedigree, and you've been in the league for a long time, and you know how to play a lot of these players, and you know what works and doesn't work against them. So not out of the race yet. You've obviously got the most losses in the league right now, and you hold that loss record, I believe, in the XBL. So you're doing your part, adding to your legacy. But I hope to see you get into the playoffs and move up. We're taking 14, I believe, so there's room for it. Then when it comes to me, I mean, like everyone knows, I found out that the dot exists today, so I'm expecting my runs scored to be somewhere around 20 per by the end of the season. Now that I've seen that, it's really going to change everything, and I'm kind of probably going to be the GOAT hitter. So that's going to be very helpful. Not really. I'll probably honestly average like 3, but I'd like to be lazy. Then when it comes to my runs allowed, it's down to 5.3, but I think last roundup it was at like nearly 10. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. I've dropped it a significant amount. And I mean, like all of us down here at the bottom, I'm trying to be on a come up and catch some sort of momentum and get higher in the league. So we're getting into the back half of the season. We got to do it now.
Yeah, everybody here just wants to kind of walk ass backwards into the playoffs, and we'll see if any one of these 3 guys can do it. And we'll move up into the board to see who's going to be the type of players that we're going to have to push out of the way. It's going to be 13, 14, and 15. Mythosaurs and Mr. Clutch, he's been on vacation with no spot. He's going to get back into the mix soon, and we're really going to see what he brings to the table in the XBL. That 10-game warm-up is really all that's been for him. He's going to follow up with Dark Raider and the Harfang, who've gotten some pretty sneaky splits. He's a similar player to myself, I think, pitching even better than me. But he's got Shaka on his side, as we all know. And then he's followed up by Zlatanimal and the Habanero. Zlat, a sneaky player, the AAA champion of last season. He's got a 6-10 record right now, but he's gone for some pretty big dogs. He's got that 3 strength of schedule that he's got under his belt. But like when you're that close together and runs scored and runs allowed, that just bodes well for your ability to stay in the ball game and take some sneaky splits and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, Rader's the best pitcher here by far. Runs scored, always a question mark for him, but 2 is actually quite a bit better than he was doing last season. And if you look at the record, 9 and 13 looks pretty good. None of these guys are scoring runs. But Mr. Clutch has a lot of potential. So if you really look at the rookie, 5 runs needs to come down, but not that much. And I think he can score 4+ as he gets his feet wet in the XBL. It's Unicorn has gone. It's Ty. It's frustrating going up in class and you're used to being the big dog, and you're not the big dog anymore. You really got to grind. But the Mythosaurs have that type of hitting that I think can really make some noise down the road. And I see it a 500 team no later than next season.
Yeah, I see Zlat and Mr. Clutch is pretty similar in this group. Zlat is a really strong pitcher. We knew last year in the AAA he was XBL level the way he was playing on both sides. And now that he's went up in ego and now he's facing better players, better pitchers, his runs scored has obviously dropped down, but 4-5 is a really good runs allowed. And a 6-10 record is fine, especially when you have a 3 strength of schedule. Like he played Ox and Flash week 3, and that's 4 losses right there, and that's a fine week. Like he beat Spaceman, it looks like, I think is SPK, and Spaceman swept me. So Zlat obviously can win with some of the top end players, But people like Flash and Ox are on another level than us that moved up from AAA right now. That's just kind of how it is. So then Dark Raider Go, it's the same thing. It's probably been the same thing since he joined the league, if I was to guess. He pitches extremely well, the best pitcher in the XBL. Or if not, he's very close to it. And runs scored, yeah, at 1.8, it's kind of the same thing. If he can keep you in a low-scoring game, he very likely is going to win that game, and that's just how he plays. And then Mr. Clutch is extremely good, a lot like his brother Nas in the AAA. He's got so much potential. Definitely the most potential of any of the AAA guys that have moved up to legitimately make a statement in the XBL, maybe win a series in the playoffs or something like that. But in your first season, it's going to be tough regardless. I'm really excited for Mr. Clutch to come back and play because he's someone that I have an eye on. I'm really interested to see exactly how he does with the potential that he has, to see exactly how soon he shows it.
He's also got that new and improved logo here too. Shout out to him. People said they weren't able to see or discern his logo as well, but now he's got that nice cream color, really letting you see that Mythosaur a lot
Big
better.
improvement.
Big improvement. We love it. Wasn't my suggestion or anything. Anyway, we'll move on up to the board to 10, 11, and 12 to the Curse and Mush, followed up by Vegan Vibe and the Rhubarbs and No Name and his Base Bandits. All of these players hovering just below 500. All of them, I think can be better than that. No Name, the sneakiest player in the XBL, will take both games from you if you have your back turned extremely quickly. He's also got the #1 strength of schedule. And when he gets the games in, he gets them in thick and fast, and he doesn't care who he plays or in what order. And that's also one of the most intimidating things about him. We'll move on up to Vegan Vibes. Vegan Vibes has had a tougher start to the season. The runs allowed is just showing that the pitching is just not there. Maybe the location in my experience was not there. Tighten that up, and I think we can really start to kind of align closer to 500. Got to beat some of those plus 500 teams. Having no wins versus any plus 500 teams also really hurts you in this league. And then we'll look at Mush, my fellow AAA World Series opponent, my runner-up, my mate, always forever entwined with Mush. He's doing a good job so far at 4-4 in the runs scored and runs allowed. That's just a really impressive resume to have, and I think he's going to continue to keep things right and head his way right into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Base Bandits, the biggest thing, as you mentioned, was the strength of schedule is one. I expect him to finish right around 500, just because that's what he is. He can pull out those games. It's not the strongest XBL field, although it's starting to look stronger with Ox and a few other players really starting to shine. Vegan Vibe, like you said, the pitching, he always fancies himself not a pitcher, and he's kind of proving that, which is kind of interesting because his team is entirely based on a famous SMB pitcher in Rachel Rhubarb. But you got to give fire to that logo, if nothing else. And then Mush, he scares everybody just because of his eye. There are certain games you go in and you just can't quite catch that corner. And those are the games that it's going to be awfully tough to beat him, no matter whether you're lazy. In fact, I think lazy lost to him. But I really like Mush. I said that from the absolute beginning previews and everything. I'm a little surprised he's only 8-10. But if you look at the runs allowed, runs scored, it kind of shows you that might be somewhat of a fluke.
Yeah, I agree with what you said about No Name for sure. A very 500 type of player, and we all know that he can mess with you on the base pass and stuff like that, and Shaka plays better to him probably than anybody. Him and Raider Goat, Shaka is just incredibly, it's really a tool for the way that they play their game. Helps them both tremendously. Vegan, it's the eye. His runs allowed is actually shocking to me because his starters are so juiced up. So I'm not super familiar with the way Vegan plays. I know he was in the XBL last year, but there's no way he finishes with the 8 runs allowed with the way his rotation is. I don't think he's that bad of a locator or anything like that. And having that juiced of a rotation is really going to save you a couple runs in itself. And then Mush, I split with him, I think, last weekend. Definitely a good eye, like you said. Pitching was, I mean, I don't know if it was lacking that day or whatnot, but I was actually able to put some runs up on him. 4 runs allowed and 5 runs scored. Like you said, it might be a little fluky, his record right now, because he's got a positive run differential, so someone that easily could finish over 500 by the end of the season. No home runs, I just noticed. Only 4 home runs total for these 3 guys.
Wow. Yeah, that's also definitely a big factor.
Crazy.
That's something that will also come up a little bit later in the show in regards to home runs. We'll talk about that when Wishbone's highlights come up. Let's move on up the board to 7, 8, and 9. This is where things get to be, pushing that top 5, top 6 territory. These players really have shown their stuff in quite a few different series this season. We've got M. Beddings in the Dog Pound, Spaceman, Spumoni and the Spokesman, and No Hummus and his Stags. Hummus has not played games in a few weeks, but always tough. One of the most veteran XBL players that you can come across, league office member, and his runs scored per 9 is almost 7, so you can tell he's hitting at his best right now, and can continue to get better. Feeling comfortable in 92. Same goes for Spaceman Spumoni, rookie player, 10 and 8, but really just seems like he's got the bat that can really sneak up on you, and he's got the eye that can really beat you when you're not paying attention. Just a real XBL player, jumping in at the right time at the right skill level. And then, M. Bennings, he's gotten better and better every season that he's been here. He's a cup champion. He's taking it into this season right now, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, I think with No Hummus, you just need to look at the run differential and the strength of schedule. No Hummus could really be a factor. Needs to kick it up 1 notch. Spokesman looking really good. I think he's lost a couple games that I think were experience related. Like I saw him in there against some really tough opponents, and he was right there. 7th, 8th inning, started to fall apart. So I think talent-wise, Spokesman could actually move up. And Bennings, the impressive thing is the runs allowed, 3.35 in any of these 3 leagues. Really fantastic. Just needs to put runs on the board, which he kind of has, and does have a good record. So a little bit streaky with the bat. That's the only thing with him, but I do think he's just one of those really solid players that kind of like a Ted Danson or even a No Hummus where, you're going to have to win it. You're not just going to luck into a W.
Hummus is definitely somebody that I think can move up because of his bat, and I think that he's at 7 and 7. It's a little bit surprising because of how much he absolutely murdered me. The only thing when it comes to Hummus is he can play with anybody in the league. We saw him beat Lazy last year. He can play with the best players, but in his words, what he told me is AAA players play glorified scrimmages. And that might be fair because he did dominate me, but I think a big thing for him will be anyway, Hummus, that was so rude for you to say, but you got to take AAA people seriously outside of me, because Clutch and Zlat are not the same as me. They're not going to lose 18-0 to you. If you're going to have a really good record and get into the top 6, I think you've got to take the AAA guys seriously, and then you're going to be competitive against the top players, and that's what a 10-6 range guy does. And then you get into the playoffs and you got a chance. Spaceman, huge potential. He's, to me, a lot like Clutch can be. He's got a lot of potential. He's just kind of reaching it earlier right now. His run scored is extremely impressive for a rookie. Spaceman's someone that, to have this record and these stats as a rookie this early in the season is quite impressive, and you're only going to see that improve as he plays more games. The only thing against him is his strength of schedule, but I don't know if that's really too much of a factor. He seems like he's very comfortable at the plate. M. Bennings is just a good player on both sides, has the cup championship. we kind of say a lot of the same things about M. Bennings. He's someone that's going to remain in the top conversation and be very much a staple in the XBL playoffs.
Yeah, especially if he hangs out with a 1.149 whip in this type of league. That's an insanely low number. We'll see if he can keep that as he plays some of the tougher players with that 15 strength of schedule. That's where the real challenge lies in the XBL. You hit that top 4 and things start to skyrocket, and your best starters get their poor stats blown up. Move on up to ranks 4, 5, and 6, and we've got an improvement in the Hollows logo. Is this fresh? Is this hot off the press or something? It's round. Look at it. Look at this logo. Where
You
did
can
this
actually
come
see
from?
it. No,
When
it's
did this-
nice.
Where did this come from? Is this? Anyway, wow. What a huge surprise. We've got Ox here at number 4. Mama Juju in the Civilization hot off the press with a split versus Latanimal, by the way. Zlot came over with a 10-7 victory in game 2 I just saw. At rank number 5. And then Spluto and his bomb moms, he's getting the games in slowly but surely. Look at him, he's at 11-2 right now. And he's fallen from rank number 3. He's down to rank number 6. He's got a weak strength of schedule. I think he's just got to play some tougher players. But yeah, he's really the type of player that'll sneak up on you. No home runs allowed either, as well, with that type of pitching style that he's employed. Mama Junjun has had a kind of a tougher start to the season in the sense that he's split some players that you feel like maybe he shouldn't, but he's still got 17 victories under his belt. So he's well and away into the playoffs and going to get a nice high seed. And Ox's play has been speaking for itself as of late. Higher runs scored per 9, then runs allowed per 9, and he's got himself over 20 victories, I think, for the first time in his XBL career. You could correct me if I'm wrong. And he's still, got more to play and more to gather up.
Yeah, Spluto of the of the chicken shit pitching variety here, giving up 0 home runs, just absolutely risk averse, and I love it. Because this is exactly what Ricks does. He baits you into swinging at bullshit again and again and again. And that's, if people are going to swing at that, why would you throw them a strike, right? And then on the offensive end can just generate runs out of literally thin air. And now he's got a dynamite logo on top of that. So I had Spluto number 1 last week. Or the last roundup, and then I think I had him maybe 3 or 4 this week. I still think Spluto, well, definitely, a potential champion here. Mama June, talent-wise, in the top 2. Pitching is just dynamite. Really relies on that fastball, but also can hit the fastball, so you don't want to throw that in the opposite direction. But we all love Mama, and he's always got to kill teams and logos and uniforms and all that. And then Ox MF Bucks finally stepping it up with the logo that we can actually, doesn't look like somebody just cut a square into something. So this looks really good. But even more so, I like his game and his mentality this season. Seems to really turned over a new leaf. When he loses a game, the first game of a series, he bounces right back and just attacks. And if you look at the runs scored, runs allowed, this is historically one of, if not the best, 2 or 3 pitchers in the entire XBL career-wise. Just a really smart, cagey pitcher, and his offense has grown leaps and bounds. So I really like Ox right now. I think I had him 3 or 4 this week, and well deserved.
Yeah, Pseudo's someone that I think is really hard for me to rank every week because he's shown with a cup win, and then he showed last season in the XBL making the semifinals that he can play with the best of them, but he's got a really weak strength of schedule right now, kind of beating up on the lower guys, sitting at 11-2, so it makes it hard to judge exactly where he's at compared to the top guys right now, just because he hasn't played a lot of them. We know he's got it, but 11-2 can be a little bit misleading based on the strength of schedule. not to say he doesn't deserve top 6, but it'll be interesting to see where that record goes as he really kind of runs out of some of us weaker players and starts to play people like Flash and Wish and Mama. And Mama that runs a lot, he's a good pitcher. We know that. He uses the fastball away on the low corner. It's super freaking frustrating because I can't hit it. And 4 runs allowed, maybe that's a factor of people are realizing that, but the more he's played in the league, I would expect that to go down normally. He's a Von Asen type of pitcher, and then we know that he can bat extremely well. We know Mama Jun is not only a top 5 player, he's more like a top 3 player. And Ox, like you said, Mist, I think the mindset has really helped him a lot. Taking the break and coming back has helped him focus back in. He's got the split on Flash, which is someone that's obviously top 3 because he hasn't been shown yet, so that's impressive. And then he's got a above 500 record against above 500 teams. So Ox is someone that's really had an impressive start, and his season, I guess, is pretty close to wrapped up now. But at 21-7, he's already solidified his place in the playoffs, and that's good to see.
Yeah, this is a really interesting group here. All 3 of these players are potential semifinal type candidates when we get into the series type talk later in the next, probably into the next roundup that we do. We'll be bringing brackets into things, and these are names we're going to be talking heavily about. We'll check out now the top 3 in the XBL. We've got Lazy taking away another #1 ranking. He's followed up by Wishbone at rank #2, standing pat. And Flash has broken his way from rank 4 up to rank #3. Flash with a really strong start to his season, also a really strong strength of schedule to start at #2. Just doing his thing, not too shabby. This is the Flash that is promised. This is the one that people talk about. He's been not 100% in a few of the past seasons since we've kind of transitioned from SMB3 into SMB4. But I think in the past 2, especially here, it's been his best chance to really be, again, the type of player that can win a World Series and win a 7-game set against someone like Lazy, or if it's going to be Mama, or if it's going to be Wishbone. So, right now, if he's playing where he's at with that strength of schedule, higher run score per 9 than allowed, you really can't ask much more from the guy, and you think he's only going to improve as he gets warmed up. That's kind of his deal. Wishbone at 10-2 right now. He seems unstoppable. He's lost a couple of tough games. He just lost a tight one versus Raider, but Raider, sneak one off of anybody, especially if it's that game at Shaka. I'm not sure where that loss was for Wishbone, but either way, he's played an amazing game this season. The run score per 9 speaking for itself. It's been improvement after improvement for Wishbone. There's nobody in the league who goes at something with a better, progression-based improvement mindset at all times like Wishbone. So, props to him for that. And then there's Lazy. I mean, Lazy's playing at his best right now, 16.3 run score per 9. I think a couple of people have probably mailed in some runs against him because honestly, his pitching isn't great. I mean, he pitches well, but his setup isn't great. It's hittable for players, and it's been proven in those first couple quick losses that he took. So we'll see if that holds up in the long game series. But right now, when you got an 8-run separation between what you score and what you allow, you're just gonna win. Win.
Well said, Drain. Flash, I think you have to look at the runs allowed and say, wow, this guy's lower than anybody in the top 3. And usually, as you head toward the playoffs, pitching is bigger than what it shows, and batting is lesser than what it shows. Which is kind of where he's at right now. I mean, 4.6 is completely unimpressive in the top 3 on the surface. But obviously, this is the regular season. Wishbone, just a fantastic player, has given away a few. He always gives away a game or 2 here. I think he's been a little luckier this season with the RNG not completely screwing him out of wins. Rightfully ranked at #2. He's talking about he split with Raider, he lost he won an extra inning at Teflon. To me, a win an extra inning against Teflon is a great win. So, Wishbone is where he should be. And then Lazy, like you said, the run scored is probably inflated a little bit, just on pure, I don't know what you would, depression, maybe.
Yeah, depression, yeah.
But the runs allowed not that good. But again, you absolutely nailed it, Train. Arsenal, his arsenal does not stack up against what you typically see. He's always pretending he's going to go against another player similar to him. And this is where somebody, these really good hitters, Flash, Wishbone hits the fastball really well. Ox has been on fire, really focused in. Mama June, of course. And even Spluto, he can throw a bat at the ball with the best of them. So, if there is one weakness against Lazy, which is kind of handpicked, but it's probably the pitching arsenal.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything y'all said. I think when it comes to Flash, you're going to see his runs scored go up. He's known as a really, really strong batter, one of the better batters in the XBL, and his ERA is pretty much what you expect. I think Flash might not lose more than 5, 6, 7 games the entire season because he's going to sweep pretty much anybody 7 down, I would imagine. He might lose 1, but he's probably going to sweep most of those guys, and then when he plays the top end players, he's going to split. You can see he played Ox and he played Civilization and got a split on those guys who are right behind him in the standings. So Flash is somebody that's probably going to be a top 4 seed if I was to guess. 2 strength of schedule through 10 games, and he's at 8-2. So, I mean, that's incredible in itself right there. And then Wishbone, like y'all said, he's where he should be. He's a really good player. He's always getting better. So personally, to me, he's probably the toughest pitcher that I've faced so far in the XBL, and I've faced some incredible pitchers. And he's able to bat, and he's got that super fast speed build lineup, and that makes it tough because he's able to put people on base. So then he's a smart guy. He's really cerebral on the way he plays the game, and he's able to maneuver those base paths with the best of them, like no-name level base path skills. And then Lazy, like y'all said, he scores 16 per, and he doesn't put a whole lot into his pitching, so he does give up runs, but it just doesn't really matter because he's lazy and because he's going to score so many runs. But that's why we think there's a chance for some parity this season, because the bats are starting to come along from some of these other guys in the top 7 range. So that's the only way Lazy's going to be taken down, if he is taken down, is a really high scoring game, because he's going to always score, but he's going to actually give up runs to people that can bat well. And that's just who Lazy is. And everybody, I mean, Lazy's probably been number 1 for 3 years.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it's he's the type of player that is just tough to even take out of this ranking. There's been a few people that have traded places with him in the past, Weaver, Luke, et cetera, and the great Ash Nod, as we're talking a little bit about in chat here tonight. But that's 16.31 and batting .513. I mean, he's at his best contact ratings right now too at the plate. So you just gotta watch out for the dude. I mean, but also his strength of schedule not super high. He's got to play some of these other players who are gonna stack up against him. Lazy's kind of picked and chose just a few matchups and a smattering of days here. When he gets into it, he's the same way. He plays them a lot of games quickly. That's when things kind of shape up for him. So 2 early losses do mean he may be beatable. We will see. This is an insane group in the XBL we have this season. It's been really fun to go over the rankings here in all 3 leagues tonight. And now we're going to go ahead and highlight some things that old Wishbone, who at rank number 2 has managed to, in his spare time, aside from kicking ass at this game, set aside for us to highlight here tonight. So let's go over to Spreadsheet Wizards, storylines to watch. We've got some interesting stuff here on making the switch. The first thing that we've got here for you is, have you noticed Snowbird lately? We definitely made a point to notice Snowbird at number 1 in the AAA rankings, but maybe you haven't if you didn't notice that there. For those of you who live under a rock, she's raking right now. A perennial AA and a half type player, Snow has bounced between the AA and the AAA more times than Lazy has won the World Series, and that's no exaggeration. but this season being entirely different. Relinquishing her trusty old switch, she has moved to beefier hardware, giving us the beefier stats that we looked at here tonight. In now what is the third AAA season for Snowbird. Snow hit a modest third AAA season for Snow. She hit a modest 246 with 38 home runs. And so far, she's knocking a cool 440 with that 55 dingers. So watch out for that. This is definitely most improved type territory we're talking about here. And to follow that up, we've got D-Sil and his switch. He's managed to ditch the switch. And he, at the midseason move, is now hitting 255 with 1 homer before, 299 with 9 homers after. Someone in the rankings spoke to his improvement. I believe it was Uni. Yeah, you can see it there in the numbers.
Go ahead, Uni.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it with both of these. When you go from the switch to any other hardware, you're going to pretty much instantly improve no matter what level player you are. And that shows for both of the people that we know switched. DeSille switched, and he's been better recently because of it. Then Snowbird has the whole season off of the switch now, and she's, like you said, absolutely raking, averaging like 11 plus per game. So hardware does matter in this game, unfortunately, and it's always good to see people switch off of it and instantly improve. It's really fun to watch that. I'm sure it's fun for them playing.
Yeah, the big story is Snowbird jumping out there in such a not really surprising, because she was always a good hitter, but I mean, everybody's on notice. I mean, I think she's by leaps and bounds the biggest story in AAA.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right before the season, the week before the season, Snow got hot, you know what I mean, in the topics, in the zeitgeist, as many would say, and it's bearing fruit so far in the season. The next thing we have to talk about is our man here, Mist. Mystery Man has improved, no doubt, going from a mid-table 9th place finish at 22-18 last season to a cool 2nd place 15-8. But how has he done it, many might ask? He's added a modest 14 points to his batting average and is adding a half of a homer per game. But you've also added an extra 45 points to your opponent's batting average and is giving up home runs at a higher clip as well. So literally, how is he doing it? One key stat Wishbone's highlighted here can tell the story. It's the left on base percentage. One of the key percentages here in the XBL for a pitcher has jumped up a mighty 80 points. However, with an identical run conversion rate on the other side of the ball, is left on base enough to count for the jump? Do you feel like that's the case? Are you feeling like you're not letting as many runs across the plate? We got to go to you first, obviously.
Yeah, I think the overriding issue here is just volatility at the plate. I mean, my pitching is kind of weird and streaky, and people actually think I can't pitch because I'm not a locator. But I'm kind of cagey, and I played in the Federal League and other places, and sometimes I'm not trying to locate. But again, the overriding thing is just the volatility at the plate, where it's so volatile that oftentimes nothing else really matters. So you can look at the stats, but realistically, if I'm scoring 12 or 13 runs, there's only 2 or 3 or 4 players in the whole league that can really stand up to that.
Very fair.
I'm surprised you've only went up 14 in the batting average. Maybe it's more of a consistency across multiple games. I could see how in the past maybe you had a really high average in half the season and then got shut down in half the season. That would make sense for last year, the way I saw you play. So maybe that this season you're maybe not having as high of games, but you're more consistent at the plate, and that's obviously producing more wins because you're not the type to give up a ton of runs, even though, like you said, you might not be a locator, but you're good at kind of playing with people's mentals. So yeah, I think of anybody in the league, I'm happiest to see Mystery Man up there at number 2 in the power rankings, because Mystery Man, we all know, is my booth mate, and we got a lot of time together on the broadcast, so I always want to see him do as well as he's doing right now.
Yeah, really great stuff, Mist. Super stoked to see you just have improved from from literally what we all know was the very bottom, the dregs, the rock bottom of AAA. You have truly made what we all speak to as the type of improvement that can happen here. Playing amongst the like-minded folk, playing amongst the veterans, playing amongst just people who enjoy the game, in season after season, trying to improve. You know, you've done it. We hope to see more from you this season, 100%. Some other interesting things that Wishbone's highlighted for us are the ego change results. Many were wondering at that last minute, was the drop to 92 worth it? Was the raise to 86 in the AAA worth it? But with the XBL going down and hitting by 1 ego, and the AAA going up by the same amount, there wasn't much questioning how much it might. There was a lot to question, as we said, but in the XBL, it really does turn out there hasn't been much. It's increased the league batting average by 7 points from 319 to 326, which is more, but not groundbreaking. And it has somehow decreased home runs from 0.8 to 0.6. So I don't really know. And maybe it's because people are pitching a little bit better. I mean, in the AAA, we've got a league batting average up 7 points, which is still a somewhat negligible amount, while home runs have jumped a whole 1/10 of a point from 0.75 to 0.85, and you guys raised ego. So yeah, again, go figure. I don't know. Mystery Man, you got anything on that one?
Yeah, I think, 1 point, 2 points either direction, that never really makes a lot of difference. And the other thing is, every season we look at these leagues and we say, oh, this is a weak season, or oh, this is a strong season. And other than the one season where I think U-Train and Merzadrone and No Name and at least 2 others dropped down into AAA, that was the one season where it really was kind of, turned into a shooting gallery with people dropping down. But it seems like in every other season, including this one, where it seems like, oh, the XBL might be weak, the AAA might be weak. It's not really the case. Like people like Ox have stepped up. People like myself have stepped up in the AAA. Snow, and Eddie's always consistent. But it's like it just seems to always work out where the numbers are kind of the same.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I haven't been here enough leagues to really harp on that, but when I look at those XBL stats going slightly up, but the home runs going down, I think that's probably mostly due to the new players coming in. I don't think like Zlat, myself, Teflon, we're not really power hitters, but we can get people on base, so that might bode well for the average in terms of staying on par with the XBL, but we're just not sending balls out of the yard very often. And meanwhile, guys like Ox and Bennings, Spluto, people like those guys are always improving, and they're going to steadily rise in terms of their batting average season to season. And then for the AAA, like you said, we kind of might have looked at it and thought this is kind of a weaker season, but it's just not the case. And it's actually, when I look at this point, it makes me feel kind of silly, because I'm pretty sure my hot take at the beginning of the season is that I thought the runs allowed per 9 was going to be really low in the AAA, because I was sleeping on some of the skill level that's there. But obviously it's actually up in terms of home runs per game, so I'm sure the runs are up. So that's good to see for the AAA. I was sleeping on the bats, but you've got people like Billy and Snowbird and Mist yourself. Y'all just absolutely rake at the plate. So, and y'all are all power hitters, so I can see how that brings the average up.
Yeah, really interesting stuff here highlighted by Wishbone. Chat also highlighting the quality of competition, raising up. The rookie classes we have are all stacked in each league. So just really, really cool to see the trends here. We do work really hard to make this as competitive as possible. Wishbone doing a ton of data analysis behind the scenes. The rest of us speaking from a ton of experience and just a ton of, just analysis and just play and just grinding day in and day out to create what the framework of this league really is. So to hear that, these ego points are making a difference, but, not making a huge difference, it's not that surprising, honestly, because, what really makes this league is the framework. And it's really working well with the amount of participants that we've had this season, and the way that everyone's really just taking everything in really awesome strides. So hope to see things continue to improve in all three leagues. We're in the meat of things now, so let's get those games in and continue the season in a really great fashion. We're going to jump in and out of plays of the week. We've got one last set of things to look at for you guys. Let me get this translated over to my colleagues here real quick so we can all look at the plays together, and then we'll be on our way. So play number 5, this one coming from a game from Mystery Man, and it's Elron Coin on the hill in a losing effort. But you've got Mystery Man at the plate with Angel Dynamite, and Angel Dynamite swings at one in that left center field gap where it's tricky at Founders. Elron makes a great play, and look at this throw. I can't believe that runner was out.
Yeah, that seemed like he must have 99 that and needed literally every bit of the 99. It's always fun to get those diving plays and someone doesn't expect it at all. They're still sending the base runners, then you make them look silly and get a double play off of it.
Yeah, great play by Elron. Good all-around player. So I was completely sure that was a hit. So I'm just running hell-bent for leather, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, damn.
Yeah, what an insane catch, and just like Uni said, had to be a 99 throw probably there. Elron might be able to remember or speak to it, but just awesome play. Move on up to play number 4. This one's going to take a second because I did not trim the clip. My apologies. A couple pitches go by, but this is a huge moment for Ty and his Tyrannix. He's down 4-3 in the bottom of the 11th against Raider, who's the top statistical XBL pitcher right now. And he's got himself right now a 2-2 count. He crushes this home run deep to right center, walks things off from being down 1. And this is just one of those things where, like we were saying, Ty is on the up and up. He's finding that bat.
Yeah, talk about like two completely opposite players in that matchup. You've got Ty, who's pure bat, and then you got the Harfang over there, who just pure pitchers. And he actually put up 4 runs, and in a game for Dark Raider, like 90% of the time, you're probably going to win that one because you don't normally score 4. And then Ty shows up and is like, yeah, they put me in the XBL for a reason, and he puts one over the fence.
Yeah, I can't believe Raider gave up. Once in a blue moon, Raider will put one right over the plate, and Ty is exactly the guy that's going to capitalize on that. So that was kind of a apropos, walk-off for the rookie. What a win.
Yeah, the power versus righties engaged, the contact versus righties engaged. He finally gets a straight ball that he hits just absolutely powder into that Apple Field right center. Just an OG stadium too to win and hit a walk-off at. Always feels good when you hit one at Apple. So good for him, good for Ty. Move on up to play number 3. This is one that was alluded to earlier by Unicorn. This is the moment right before where we see the bunt and then the double play. The bases are cleared, and now Kitty Kaufman steps into the plate for Rise and Fall on Match of the Week. It's a top of the 9th tie game, and she right now is about to get her pitch. This is a very rare mistake that you're going to see from Burning Ice here. And this moment, probably one of my favorite calls as well.
Yeah, the suspense that built in this entire game until you get to this moment right here. He misses a fastball, and Rise absolutely takes care of it and charges it. I was sitting there playing NCAA, just kind of had the game onto the side, and I heard the noise off the bat, and I was like, holy shit, Rise just nuked that ball. Then I realized it was 1-0. I was like, wow, I kind of missed out on a really epic match of the week in this game.
Yeah, this was I was so happy for my guy Rise, and I really like Burning Eyes, but this is so classic Rise. I mean, he just got burned so badly that you should just be toast. But he's the guy that, I don't know if Burning Eyes fell asleep or just had one of those pitches, but Rise is the type of guy that it doesn't matter if he's hit garbage for 8 innings. it's now the 9th inning, and we saw what happened here. He red circled, and that's where it all blew up.
Yeah, huge moment here for Rise and Fall in, what was game 1 in a very tense match of the week. 2 mid-table AAA players going at it for what are 2 very valuable wins, and getting that first victory always feels good. They did end up with a split, but he won this game in the end in what was 9 innings. Would have been extras, so good for him. Move on up the board now to play number 2, and this is the Civ versus Flash. Huge XBL matchup. 2 of the top 4 players currently in the XBL, and this is a game that Mama Junjun ends up winning, but right now he thinks he's got it in the bag, and Flash, for the moment, prevented him from taking the lead with an awesome robbery here at Red Rock.
Yeah, that's a tough one to time because it's kind of hanging in the air, and it's a little bit of a BS catch. He jumped backwards with his player, and he was able to backhand snag it. And plays like that in games like that, where it's top 5 players in the XBL, and both guys are, some of the best players in the world, you need stuff like that to go over the fence. You need plays like that to bounce off of the glove and get RNG. And Flash is just able to make the play. But like you said, Mama Junjun, so good, he was still able to win.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally the last square inch, the furthest part of the ballpark. And then you see, basically a Statue of Liberty catch from the Flash. Look where that is. That's I didn't even know that existed. Look where that is. That's crazy.
It is the deepest corner of the entire stadium. But like you said, Mama ends up winning this game also in dramatic fashion. He had a huge home run with the same player, I believe, Ban Lawai. Big popular player here. Controversial, hot topic player in the XBL with the bad ball hitter trait. Ox abstaining from the show tonight because this highlight was here.
Absolutely.
He refuses to highlight a bad ball hitter. We're going to go on to play number 1 now, and this is Raider versus Spluto in a tight game that ended up going 16. Raiders got the outfield shallow. He dives over the back shoulder and makes a catch at Parque Jardineros. Again, he wins this game 3-2, and he has to make this catch, or else, it's just all going to unfold for Spluto there. And that was with no outs, and that would have been a triple, possibly an inside the park home run. I mean, this is the play of the week.
Yeah, this deserves to be the play of the week. And I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like Dark Raider makes one of these plays every season that I've been here. He brings the outfield in pretty often, and he's got so much speed, and he's so good out there in the field with how much he's played SMB that he's able to make plays like that. And those are something that 90% of the players, even in the XBL, aren't going to be able to make, and it almost feels like that's a routine play for Raider.
Yeah, you know what this reminds me of, if you really look at it, is Magnetic Compass. This is exactly what Diesel does with that jacked center fielder out there, coming up with plays that just seem like they can't possibly happen. And for this to win him a game against just an absolutely top-notch player, I mean, it is what it is. And it's a really big stadium, and he's playing shallow, just saying, I can get back there.
Yeah, what an insane play. I mean, this is just one of those ones that goes down in history. Like you said, Magnetic Compass is a great comparison from Diesel's team. Like you said, one of the most jacked center fielders we've seen. Some players just really build out those center fielders, and it's for those reasons. Those are some game-saving type of catches. But yeah, some really great plays we had to choose from, all picked out by Mystery Man here for me to sort through with the Unicorn, and everybody did a good job going through the plays and coming up with some stuff. So tonight, a great show. Thank you all for submitting. Please submit all of the plays that you think are worthy of getting on here for the next roundup. We're probably going to do at least one more of these before we get into actual playoff preview type shows. We'll probably start bringing the bracket into things soon. But yeah, it was a ton of fun content here tonight. I'll flip it over quickly to my co-host before we leave for the evening. We'll start with Uni. How was the show?
Yeah, fun as always, and like you said, we've got the brackets coming soon, and oh my gosh, those are those are incredibly fun, even though the predictions seem to always be pretty far off. I think yours was actually really accurate last year we touched on, but it's really fun to predict those brackets. But now that we're into the back half of the season, just get those games in. There's some people that haven't played too many games, so that's really all I care to say is make sure that you get them in. It's no fun when someone has to drop late and it kind of changes the playoff picture. Just get them in and see where you can finish at the end, no matter what your record is.
Yeah, and the servers have been pretty good overall, so, there's no reason not to get, obviously if there's personal things, but, get in here, get your games in. It's been a really fun season. And I actually thought that this highlight show was going to be light, and it ended up being heavy. So there was a lot of, I didn't even realize it. The match of the week was completely fire. We've actually had another good season of match of the week, which it's incredible how that happens. But keep having fun. And, there's going to be some really kill match of the weeks coming up as well. So get those games in, keep having fun, and keep loving the XBL.
Yeah, everyone's done a great job for the most part of getting their games in. If you haven't, we definitely have heard a reason why, so we really appreciate everyone being 100% communicative. It's been awesome to see, like we said, the level of engagement this season. The rookie classes are as big as they've been since Season 8. We'd love to see who comes out of the mix there. Everyone has done a great job as well submitting highlights, just staying engaged, helping new players, and just working with us as the league office. This is a labor of love for all of us here, especially the players who aren't even in the league office, who are just doing, their fair share of work, like Mist, like Uni, like Ox, and everybody else who we always never have enough time to mention, all the people who've helped us get here along the way. So thank you everybody for being here this evening for another great roundup, and we will take you again into match of the week later this weekend, and with some more roundups in the future. Have a safe and pleasant evening, everyone. See you next time.